This is an iPad Pro, to be more precise, an 11-inch M1 iPad Pro from 2021. And I think this is the best iPad that you can get right now in 2023. But the thing is, should you be even buying an iPad Pro? I make it really simple for you with one question. Do you care about 120Hz? If you don't care about that, you pretty much don't need an iPad Pro. We both know that there are many other differences between the regular iPads and the Pros, but 120Hz is definitely one of the main features. And if you're not like a pro photographer, then you're not going to care about any of the other ones too. Also, you might be asking, why am I recommending the 11-inch instead of the bigger brother, the 12.9? To be honest with you, if you still want to go and jump up that price hike to the 12.9-inch, then yeah, sure, do it. But the 11-inch is just the perfect size to hold it with just one hand. And also, when you step up to the bigger one, it gets kind of heavy, and I think that a 12.9-inch iPad is pretty similar to a MacBook Air, and you can get a lot more done with that instead of the iPad. But you should choose whatever fits your scenario. But one thing that I still don't recommend you do is to go for the M2 iPads, because I think it's just overpriced and you're much better off just getting a greater deal on the M1 iPads. Because let's be honest, nobody cares about the slight performance increase that you get with the M2s, and also the hover feature just gets old after like a week. But if you don't believe me and you just want the best one currently available, then I would still not buy an iPad today. I would wait about 4 or 5 months that it will take Apple to release the brand new M3 iPads, which should have an updated design. But if you agree with me and you're ready to buy an iPad right now, then let's go over some benefits. First and foremost, if you're a student and you're looking to get rid of all of those papers, then the iPad is going to be perfect for you. There are tons of apps on the App Store that can level up your note-taking game, like GoodNotes or Notability. And I've tried pretty much all of them, and I have to tell you, GoodNotes is definitely the king, with 3 useful features that always just seem to be right there when you need them. One of the coolest little tweaks that just makes sense is when you scratch up a letter, it gets deleted, like if you would have just switched to the eraser and deleted it. Another convenient feature that you might use really often, especially if you find yourself just moving things about, then you don't need to use the specific selection tool. Instead, you will just circle the thing you want to select and hold down on the circle you created, and it will select everything inside of that. When you get used to these features and actually start using them on the daily, your note-taking gets super fast. And last but not least, the best feature that comes with all of the higher tier note-taking apps is recording. And you can record, like for example, you're sitting at a lesson and you can record the lesson as the lecturer is speaking, and when you play it back, it will write down all of your notes chronologically as the guy was saying it on the lecture. And one more thing that I found amazing about GoodNotes, if you're really picky and you just want the best handwriting possible, then you probably will be zoomed in a lot of the time. And GoodNotes makes this super easy because you don't need to zoom in all the time. It has this zoom layer that it projects on the bottom of the screen, and when you skip forward, it will just move you to the correct place so you can continue writing your sentence. The one thing that I don't like about GoodNotes is that they switched with this new version to a subscription model of $10 a year. I know it's only $10, but I would rather just pay $25 and have it forever. Surprisingly, I actually really enjoy reading books on this thing. I thought I would hate it because it's just another screen staring at you, but all of the elements of actually using it to read books far outweigh this con. So first and foremost, and most importantly, it completely deletes the delay between wanting a book and buying a book, and then getting a book. Because let's say that someone recommends you a title, you can just go to Amazon or go to the Apple Books app and buy it straight away and be able to read it within seconds. Oh, and as a bonus, when you buy your books through Amazon, they're usually on quite a big discount, especially compared to the paperback versions. But the feature that I love most about reading on the iPad has to be highlighting. You can also just select one of the words you, for example, don't know the explanation for, and it will give you this option to look up the meaning. It's similar to if you ask Siri what that word means, then it will also give you the same menu. And unfortunately, this highlighting with the Apple Pencil doesn't work in the Kindle app from Amazon, but when you select a word, it will automatically just open up the dictionary with that word selected, the Wikipedia page of that word, and also a translation window for you to be able to translate that word into your native language. And the great thing, which is kind of like a life hack about both of these apps, is that you don't need to buy books to read them on there. You can import pretty much any PDF and just use it as a normal e-reader. So that means if you're looking at an older title, it probably has a free PDF online, so you can just download that and import it into either of these. The iPad also makes a lot of sense if you want a more tactile experience while editing photos. Because let's face it, if you edit photos, you've probably been in the scenario where you're just sliding around that slider, but you're sliding just way too much to the left, way too much to the right, and you would like that precision of doing it with something that you can hold. And this is where Lightroom on the iPad really shines, because you can use the Apple Pencil to just slide those sliders around, and also when you're creating a new mask, you can just select everything that you wanted and paint on it. You have also the option to use Photoshop because it also has an app for the iPad, but I find it kind of limiting, especially compared to the PC version, because now it mainly lacks all of the AI features, which I use really frequently. And I know that a lot of people are into drawing on their iPads, making digital art, but I'm not one of those people. And if you're considering the iPad directly for this reason, I have one quick tip for you. You need to find a good screen protector for your iPad that isn't going to mess with your Apple Pencil, because most screen protectors are just way too thick and they will leave this little wiggle when you try to do a straight line. So I would recommend for you to go for something like the paper-like foil, which is really thin and won't mess with this. But beware that you're giving up some of the nice colorness and sharpness of the iPad screen. Like, I think the best scenario, if you want the best of both worlds, is going to be to just use the iPad screen as the screen itself. But then again, I also don't want to scratch up my whole screen, and a repair for the screen is $500, so I'm not risking that. I would much rather deal with the little wobble. I quickly want to address one thing. I see a lot of people online complaining about matte screen protectors that they just wear out the tip of their Apple Pencils. And trust me, you don't have to worry about this. It takes a really long time to actually get through the tip, and then when you get through it, it's just $25 for a set of 4. One of the best things you can use your iPad for is as a second display for your Mac. That means if you connect the two and you just have your Apple ID logged into each one, then you can activate this mode where you connect your mouse and your keyboard from your Mac and just move it over onto your iPad. This seems really cool and always amazes people when I show them this feature, especially once I show them that you can just move files from one over to the other. On the other hand, I was recently learning some web design with Webflow, and they have all of these courses on YouTube. So I just opened up YouTube on my iPad and I followed along. And whenever I needed to just pause the video or play back a couple of seconds, I simply went over with my mouse and clicked pause. You can also use the iPad as a separate external display for your MacBook. That means if you're not really into like using iPad apps on your iPad, but instead want just a regular monitor beside your Mac, then you can use it for this. And the best part is that it's wireless. That means you can just set it up wherever you want and it will be an external display, or it can even copy the screen that you currently have on your MacBook. This is seriously one of the best features when you're in the Apple ecosystem, but it also sometimes has its downfalls where, like, don't get me wrong, it works like 9 out of 10 times, but that one time it seriously just messes up and you don't know how to fix it. It just has to fix itself. And this actually happened to me quite recently when I was showing one of my classmates all of these cool functions, because she was thinking about buying an iPad and she already had a MacBook Air. So I wanted to show her all of this cool stuff that I was just telling you about, and well, it didn't work. And I felt like an absolute idiot in that situation because I was trying to show her something and it just didn't work. Anyways, I at least managed to show her all of the cool things that you can do with the Apple Pencil. And first and foremost, everyone knows about the little double tap you do, basically switches between your current tool and your last selected one, or your eraser if you set it like that in the settings. Then, which kind of surprised me that a lot of people actually don't know about, is that the Apple Pencil has pressure sensitivity. That means there's an actual difference when you press hard on the screen and when you press softly on the screen in the result that you get in the app. And I get that a lot of other tablets don't have this, but I find it kind of like a regular feature, nothing really special. But the one thing that I found super special is the little tilt adjustment that the Apple Pencil has. Like for example, if you're in the Notes app and you're drawing with something like a crayon, you're going to get a visibly different result if you hold the pencil like this or if you hold it like this sideways. Also, two quick features with the Apple Pencil that you are probably going to use every single day. Number one is going to be quick notes, and not just pulling up notes really quickly, but instead you can either swipe from the right corner or the left corner, whichever you set it to, and it will open a quick note where you can draw really quickly. That's why it's called a quick note. And if you're in a pinch and you really swiftly have to write something down, you can just tap on your iPad screen when it's locked and it will open up a quick note instantly. And the second feature is Scribble. That means in any kind of text field that you have in the iPad UI, like for example on Google, or when you're just searching something in Spotlight, then you can just write down with handwriting and it will translate it into regular computer text. Also, one thing that I almost forgot to mention is that if you're using the Apple Pencil and you're any kind of artist or whatever and you like to draw, then you can make perfect shapes in pretty much any app. You just need to make a rough outline and then hold it for like 2 seconds and Apple will just make it a perfect shape every time. You can also draw straight lines, curved lines, and also arrows, which look much better than my hand draw ones. So those were pretty much all of the cool features and everything positive that I had to say about the iPad, and now let's get into some of the negatives. First and foremost, it's the battery life. And I have to tell you, I was expecting way more from this iPad, because if I'm going to be using it for like, let's say 5, 6, 7 hours a day, like if I draw all the time or if I take notes all day, then it's going to run out of battery super quickly. I had days when I needed to actually charge it twice a day, which I didn't think I would need to, and in these scenarios, I would definitely prefer the 12.9-inch model with the bigger battery. And the second issue that I had with my iPad, which I don't know if it's just my unit specifically, but the connections have been pretty bad, especially when it comes to Wi-Fi, where sometimes it can't even find the actual network, not even connect to it. It's just bad. And the other issue I had with connectivity is the connection to my iPhone, because on Sundays it works perfectly fine, but on others I cannot for the life of me just airdrop from one device to the other. And I don't know how to fix it. I tried everything under the sun, but it just doesn't want to work, and on another day it's just magically working again. Okay, so those are the negative things that I had to tell you. There aren't many, but those are pretty important. And to spice up our mood a bit to the end of the video, I wanted to show you some of the cool features that you can do with the new wallpapers. As you know, I like to pretty much change my wallpaper on my iPhone every day, and on the iPad the customization goes up a level, because you can set a separate wallpaper for landscape and for horizontal mode, which is just such a small detail, but I really love that Apple included this. And also, if you're using one of the new kaleidoscope wallpapers, every time you move the screen from vertical to horizontal, it's going to do this funky little motion, and it pretty much happens every time you flip the iPad, which I find pretty cool. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I have to tell you about my experience with the iPad Pro 11-inch with the M1 chip. Well, I guess I still forgot about one thing, the camera system. And I know that pretty much no one will ever use this, but in a pinch, they're pretty good. And that's pretty much all I have to say about those, and I will see you in the next one.